Welcome to another episode of the Capital Gains Tax Solutions podcast, where we believe most high net worth individuals and those who help them, they struggle with clarifying their capital gains tax deferral options. Not having a clear plan is the enemy, and using a proven tax deferral strategy, such as the Deferred Sales Trust, is the best way for you to exit your highly appreciated real estate, cryptocurrency, save a failed 1031 exchange, or sell a business, all tax deferred, so you can create and preserve more wealth. Hey, I'm your host, Brett Swarts. In each episode, I'm joined by some of the best real estate, financial wealth, and sometimes ways to track your real estate portfolio minds in the world, where they share their ideas, deal stories, and inspirations. So together we can make complex tax deferral strategies simple and passive income plans achievable. By the way, we're also streaming on expertcresecrets.com. I'm excited about our next guest. He brings a deep understanding of real estate investing to provide a next generation solution for fellow real estate investors. Bettercapital.us and bayflip.com are two websites of his. As well, he is known in the real estate community as a networker, speaker, and caring investor, and a technologist. He has built one of the most comprehensive software platforms for tracking, training, and transactions for real estate investors and professionals, and so much more. Please welcome to the show with me, Bobby Sharma. Bobby, how you doing?
Hey, Brett. Thrilled to be here with you. You're one of my friends. You're my DST go-to guy. So it is good to be on your show as well.
Well, thank you for that. And likewise, it's a pleasure to have you on the show. And for our listeners getting to know you for the first time, would you give us a little bit more about your background and your current focus?
Absolutely. So, spent my last 34 years in California, mostly in Silicon Valley. Worked for a bunch of technology companies, but about 11 years ago, circumstances were such that I, got into real estate more actively. I had a primary home, but then in 2010 got involved more actively. But I kept my day job in technology, so one foot in the W-2 and then one foot trying to build a passive income. Fast forward, accumulated some real estate assets, and was trying to track them in Excel. And it was just not working for me. It was not giving me the full 360 view that I wanted as a real estate investor to track the performance of my assets. How much, what's my cash on cash ROI? What's my equity buildup? What's my loan pay down? What kind of occupancy rates, vacancy rates, non-performing rates did I have across the portfolio? And then storing all the documents. They were all over the map. They were in my Gmail. They were in my local hard drive. They were on a thumb drive. They were in somebody's Dropbox and all that. So, and reminders, I used to travel a lot, so I would come back home and realize that I'd forgotten to pay certain property taxes or the franchise tax board fees and so on. So I decided 2 years ago that I was going to build something for myself and for other real estate investors that needed something to track more professionally their real estate assets. So yeah, that's what
Beautiful.
we do.
Amazing. We're going to dive into all of those intricacies here in a second. And it is really exciting because we believe it is the best way to track your real estate portfolio. And but before we go there, I want to take one other step back, Bobby. I want you to take us back maybe to the high school days or the university days, when you're a kid. I believe we've all been given certain gifts and strengths. Some people call them superpowers. I believe they're God-given gifts. And they've been given to us to be a blessing and help to others. So I'm curious, what are those one or two gifts that you believe you were given? And how does that help how you help and bless people today?
Yeah, absolutely. So grew up in India and then of all places, Africa. So my formative years were in Africa. And my history teacher was an American. And we did the bicentennial, and I was Thomas Jefferson in that play. So I got introduced to American history, American geography, very early on in my teen years, but we came from a middle class, humble family. But I always felt like I wanted to be in the States. I'm talking. This is the mid '80s, so still relatively early as far as immigrants, the new immigrants are concerned. So I wanted to study computer science. I always felt that, being able to come here was really a gift, and I shouldn't waste it. I shouldn't waste the opportunity to be in this land where there's so much opportunity, so many wonderful people. So I always felt like I had to maybe build something, but also help people along the way. So about 10 years ago, I started to build a networking group to help other real estate investors connect with each other. And to this day, I'm a firm believer in networking and building connections and supporting each other. So luckily, in the San Francisco Bay Area, we built out the largest real estate networking group. So we've got about 5,000 members in there, and very active. We support each other. Like if they need a contractor, if they need a contract reviewed, if they need a connection with an attorney, if they need help with a DST, if they need 1031 exchange help, whatever it is, the group comes together and we support and help each other out. So to me, if there's one gift that I have, a God-given gift, it's my ability to network and just quarterback some deals, pull people together. That's all.
That's a beautiful gift. It's an amazing gift. That's a really cool story of India to Africa, then the history teacher, an American history teacher, and then to San Francisco Bay Area and building out, buying real estate and helping other people do it. Is such a cool thing. So now let's dive into back to the topic at hand, the best way to track your real estate portfolio. So with the service and the software, right, we already talked about a little bit of the pain, people losing track of certain things, franchise tax board, property taxes, certain bills, tracking all of these things can be, especially as you're building up multiple assets, right? So there's got to be a better way. So Bobby says, yes, there's a better way. We're going to build it out. I'm going to help people do this. And by the way, you can find out more about Bobby Sharma at bettercapital.us. That's bettercapital.us. But what's the number one secret to the software and what it does? Can you kind of break down step by step on this for our listeners?
So Brett, you and many of your listeners and viewers, they're probably familiar. If they own real estate assets, maybe in their backyard, maybe out of state, maybe different property management companies, maybe different syndicators. What was happening was, let's say you live in Sacramento like you, but you own properties in the Bay Area, and then let's say in Scottsdale, and then some in Dallas. The property manager in Dallas is on Buildium, the guy in Scottsdale is on Appfolio, your guy in the Bay Area is on Propertyware. And then let's say you're invested in a syndication and they're tracking it in, let's say, Juniper Square, all right? So now you have all these different logins. You're getting these owners, the property managers only provide partial information. They don't know your mortgage information. They often don't know your tax or insurance information, but they're just sending you what are called owner statements, or you have to log into their portal, which is not designed for real estate investors. It's designed for property managers. So what happens is you end up logging into all these different systems, these different URLs and softwares, and let's say on a monthly basis, it becomes tedious. And eventually you go, you know what, forget it. I'll just try to plug it into my Excel and see if I can track it that way. Well, what we did was made it super easy. We don't care which property management application, which syndication platform you're using. It really doesn't matter. We will integrate with all of them. Some very automatically through what are called APIs, others through some automated machine learning tools that we've built. We've built some connectors. So regardless of what property management application you may be in, plus we securely integrate with your bank account. So we can read maybe the mortgage information, we could read the tax and insurance information, some of the transactions that are not taking place on the property management application side or the syndication management side, but they're on the bank accounts. We integrate all that data very effortlessly and we give it to the user in a very nice graphical.
Got it. So it's, if I had to, if I'm thinking here, it's kind of like perhaps a mint.com that brings in your credit card over here, brings in your other credit card over there, brings in your bank account, can bring in some investments, and it aggregates it into one portal where you can see it. Is that a fair summary so far?
You nailed it. We are the mint.com for real estate investors.
Fantastic. Okay, so step number one is, first of all, understanding that you admit you have a problem. Hey, I have a problem tracking and organizing all this, and or you're really great at it, but it's just taking a lot of time and your energy, right? And you're like, there's got to be a better way to not have to go to all these different logins in these different places and the different passwords. Now I can go to one place. So then number two, you mentioned kind of briefly on the Excel piece of it, right? Or connecting that perhaps for their accountant or the year-end planning. So talk about, once the information's there, the power of what the next step is.
Yeah, I love it. Love it. So Brett, I'm so impressed. You got the mint connection. That's beautiful. A lot of people don't get it, but they haven't used mint in a while. So I'm so glad you got it. Okay. At the end of the year, we've got all the transactions. So you're ready to go to your accountant, your CPA, your tax preparer, your enrolled agent. What we have done is we have built a Schedule E publisher. So now that we have all the transactions, or most of the transactions related to your asset in our system, with one click, we can publish a Schedule E, but in Excel, that you can then send to your accountant, your tax preparer, your tax professional. But we want to make it so easy that you don't have to now go in and pull out the receipts and figure out which bank this came from, which credit card. As long as it's all integrated into our system, we can read the relevant transactions from any source, organize it, categorize it, and have it ready for you in real time.
Oh my gosh! So I'm getting really excited here, Bobby, because this is my personality type is driver expressive, right? So analytical, amiable will be the opposite of those two. And let's just say I can do numbers, right? I'm a commercial real estate broker. I've done them for years, and I underwrite properties. And if I'm underwriting a property for like a listing opportunity or a buy-sell opportunity, like I'm inspired, like I'm getting into the numbers, I'm geeking out. But when I'm going to like the tax stuff or like all those little things, like give me about 10 minutes of that and I'm like drained, like just my personality drains myself. So if you're giving me something that's going to help simplify my investments in tracking those things and then reporting that to my tax preparer, to me, Bobby, that is gold. And again, you can learn more about Bobby Sharma at bettercapital.us. Okay, so that's number one. That's number two. What's the next secret before we kind of demo this? And we're going to demo it. And if you're watching on YouTube right now, you can see it. And if you're listening to this on iTunes, then go to my YouTube channel, Capital Gains Tax Solutions, and you can watch and search the Bobby Sharma episode, and you can watch this. But let's talk about maybe the third or fourth feature that we haven't touched on yet, and then let's demo it, okay?
Absolutely. So I'll go ahead and do a screen share. So let me see. Brett, can you? Okay, there we go. So this is our what the dashboard would look like. I'm going to dive into maybe a rental that I have. Let's say we go to the one in your neck of the woods, and here we are. So this shows how my property is performing. The green is the good stuff. The red is the the stuff that they're behind on. But it tells me, just by visually looking at it, I can tell the health of this property. I can look at the ledger. I can look at the ledger here. I can look at all my financials. What's my rent? I can look at my investment. When did I buy it? What did I buy it for? How big is it? What's my market value, and so on. And then here's all the transactions that come into this to the system. And then here's my reporting. Here's my year-to-date report. Here's my transaction detail report. And then this is the Schedule E report. It's not ready yet, but by the end of this year, of course, way before then, probably early Q4, it'll be ready. And then all my documents for this property are stored here. So I can preview all the documents related to this property all in one place, and here we go. Right. So,
wow. And by the way, for our listeners who are listening, not watching this, and by the way, there's a little bit of a delay on the streaming of this. So if you're seeing a little bit unclear, it's because it's having to catch up during real time. But it's a dashboard, right? Think picturemint.com, and then picture all the major things like net operating income, cash ROI, right? Cash on cash return, purchase cap rate, total ROI, and it's breaking down and it's aggregating these different investments and it's bringing them all together, and then it's giving you different ways to quickly understand what's happening, and so that's really really cool. Bettercapital.us. Keep going, Bobby.
yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Brett. And then look, you can categorize. You can say, where is my insurance? It'll find all the documents that have insurance tagged to them. Where is all my 2021 documents? It'll find all your 2021 documents. So this is searchable. It can be tagged. I can come in here. I can tag it. These are all my tags. I can say, Brett. Okay, so if I save that. So now if I search for Brett, it's right there. So again, we try to make it as user-friendly as possible. We've got some really cool bells and whistles built in here, by the way. But I will one of the ones that I'm really proud of is, sometimes you get these PDFs that maybe your insurance agent, maybe your accountant sends you, maybe you got an invoice for a repair, and let's say it's for 123 Jackson Street in Elk Grove, California. Let's say that's your property, 123 Jackson Street. Our system will create a unique email address for that property. What you do is you can add that address, that unique email address, to your Gmail or Outlook account, your Yahoo account, doesn't matter. As you get a PDF or an Excel or any file, you simply forward it to that email address, 123 Jackson Street. Our system will read it and store it in our database, in our storage, just by you forwarding that email to that address. So it's we tried to think of all the ways we can cut down on keystrokes for people to get organized.
God, let me make sure I capture that, right? So you have a unique email address for each of your investment properties. Say you have 10 of them, right? And one of them is in Elk Grove, California. And then for each investment, it's going to create a unique email address, and you just put that into your email. When you get something that's related to it, boom, you just forward it to that. Now it's going to pop up in there. If it had an attachment, Bobby, would it include the attachment too?
Absolutely.
Wow. So it's basically a simple way so you don't have to always go through searching your emails for those addresses or those things or all the notifications you're getting from the different syndicators. You just look for the ones that are really important for tax purposes or whatever else that you want to have. You forward that, and then you go to bettercapital.us, you log in, you see it there. Is that a fair summary?
It's already there. It's already there.
Wow. My stress is already lowering, Bobby. It's already getting lower here, right, as we talk about this.
I love it.
So what's the next feature you maybe want to talk about real quick?
I want to show a bank integration. So we have live, secure bank integration. So, for example, you may have several bank accounts maybe for your LLCs, maybe for your personal properties, and so on and so forth. We are fully integrated with a company. We use a secure third-party integration company. They have audited us. We are hosted on Amazon Web Server. We're from Silicon Valley. We care about privacy. We care about security. So all the data is encrypted in our database, and we're fully integrated using a service called Plaid. So here's all my transactions. All of this coming right in from my bank account. This is a live account, and it's all there. And so I can come in, I can tag this, I can say, hey, this purchase is for this was a water sewer for 2711. I can say that. And then I can say, I can even split it, or I can say this was 100%. If I click on plus, oh, I'm sorry, if I click on import, that transaction is going to get attached to that property. Now, another beauty is you can say it's a recurring transaction. I can say this is water, sewer, and it's attached to this property. And if I click on create, I no longer have to do anything. As long as the system sees this transaction, this type of a transaction with this type of a description, it will go ahead and attach that transaction to that property. So
it's kind of like a QuickBooks in a sense, or so it's going to be kind of syncing things up and lining them up. Is that what you're saying?
Exactly. So,
do you think it can replace QuickBooks on some level, or are you still using QuickBooks, or are you completely out of QuickBooks?
Our goal, our vision, is that once you start to use the system the way it's designed, you will not need QuickBooks, and you will probably not need a bookkeeper. Okay, because all the transactions are going to be organized, automated. You'll have a full picture of where you stand on your financials. Our vision is that you will eventually not need you won't need QuickBooks, and you will not need a bookkeeper.
Fantastic. Okay, so now that's a lot there, and our heads are full now. So let's talk about the cost and the next steps if someone wants to get going.
Yeah. So we have a freemium model, which means if you are just starting out, you've got less than 5 or 6 properties, no charge, free to use. If you want to use the bank integration, because we do have to pay Plaid. Plaid is the company that allows us to do full secure bank integration, so we got to pay them. So for that, and for advanced reporting, we charge between $19 to $29 a month. With that, you get the help of a virtual assistant who will onboard you, get you set up, get all your data organized. Once that happens, once your data is organized, after that, the maintenance is super easy. But we'll help you get on board. So it's going to be about $19 to $29.
Got it. Cool. So if you got the 5 to 6 properties, you want to do the freemium, just try it to start out with. That's free. But if you want to add the bank integration and or go, let's say, to unlimited properties, I think, right, then it would be $19 to $29. Is that a fair summary?
Yep.
Okay. Cool. Very cool. And then if they get started, where do you go? Bettercapital.us?
Reach out to me, bettercapital.us, Bobby at bettercapital.us. I'll personally help give them a demo. I'll personally onboard them.
Excellent.
And yeah, absolutely.
So we're going to shift a little bit here now. We're going to talk about capital gains tax deferral and some 1031 exchanges and some of the things that we're actually working on, because you're an investor, I'm an investor. We invest in typically larger multifamily value add or different commercial real estate syndications and deals for our clients, and that's part of our passions and one of the ways we connect it. But we're also connecting on the Deferred Sales Trust, which you mentioned in the beginning, the DST, right? Different than the Delaware Statutory Trust, but I want you to give our listeners a little bit about your understanding of the Deferred Sales Trust and us working together. What's kind of been your feedback for those who are maybe looking at it for the first time, and also talk about kind of your story of due diligence when you found out about it.
Yeah, absolutely. So a couple of things. Look, Brett, you and I have known each other for a couple of years now, and I love what you're doing. Not the Delaware Statutory, the DST, the Deferred Sales Trust, relatively new concept. You're one of the pioneers. You're one of the biggest evangelizers of that option for many real estate investors. And by the way, I think it's not limited to real estate investments. And I think you point that out. It's open to anybody. Like you and I are working on a deal where it's not real estate sale. It's another entity in another industry, but part of their proceeds are going to have to go into real estate, but into other things as well. So what I appreciate about what you're doing is you can help just about anybody that is facing huge tax consequences, that needs a legal, an organized way to maybe defer their tax impact. So I think for that, I think we have to all be really grateful to you for educating the layman people like me on what are some of the benefits. And we've brought some people to get for you to work with, and I think they're very satisfied. They're very happy. But yeah, I would say anybody that's looking at a big tax bill caused by a maybe a gain in the stock market or a sale of an asset, they should really talk to you.
Excellent. Thanks so much for that feedback and that endorsement, Bobby. I so appreciate that. And to kind of piggyback on that, the Deferred Sales Trust can work for cryptocurrency. We just did a $5 million deal for an Ethereum client out of the East Bay area, actually. And they worked in Silicon Valley for 20 years, and they bought Ethereum about five or so years ago. They put about $100,000 into it, and it went up to 13 million, right? And they had about a $12.9 million gain. And so we've sold about 5 million of that and deferred some tax. It also, as part of that, was Bitcoin as well. So they've done very well. And part of what they want to do is invest into some real estate at any time, all tax deferred, which we allow you to do. But they cannot 1031 crypto, right? They also cannot 1031 a business sale or a primary residence. We did a primary home in Palo Alto for 8.3 million. So on the 1031 side, Bobby, being that you've been investing for a while, what's your personal biggest frustration when it comes to the 1031 exchange that you found for yourself, or your clients or your partners?
The biggest frustration is that 45-day window in which you got to find a new asset and then work that out. So what happens often is they hurry, or they are not aware of the deadlines and the timelines and so on. But so they kind of make a rash decision to buy something new, which may not have been the most ideal property, but they have to pull the trigger on it anyway. That's been a big frustration. And then knowing about the intermediary, sometimes they think that just because they went through a title company, they forget to engage an intermediary at the right time. So that's been a frustration. But yeah, it is a very stressful moment. So I think with DST, you can alleviate a lot of that stress. You give them a lot of time to figure out a solution. Maybe they don't want to buy real estate or go buy something that they're not familiar with, but just because their asset, let's say in California or in Arizona or in Seattle, went up a whole bunch. Now they got to be forced to buy something in Oklahoma that maybe they wanted, maybe they didn't want.
Yeah, we call it the shotgun wedding, right? You got to get engaged in 45 days and married in 180. And oftentimes you're selling in a high market, and by default, you're buying in a high market. Not to say you can't find a needle in a haystack. And by all means, if you do, we'll give you a high five and say, buy that deal, yeah? But we like to see our clients buy forced appreciation, value add opportunities, right? Where it makes sense on the investment by itself, regardless of the tax deferral. By the way, you can learn more about the Deferred Sales Trust at capitalgainstaxsolutions.com. That's capitalgainstaxsolutions.com. And also, as a reminder, we can save failed 1031 exchanges past your 45-day identification. And we do not take up any space inside of your 1031. But you got to get with us early, and you got to work with those who know what they have done this, qualified intermediaries who are cooperative, right? So make sure you get with us early. Go to capitalgainstaxsolutions.com. That being said, Bobby, we're running out of time. Are you ready for the lightning round?
Yes, let's do it.
All right. If you could give us the one piece of wisdom, if you could go back to your 25-year-old self and tell yourself one thing to do, what would that thing be?
The one thing would be earn to invest, whether it's in real estate or in other meaningful assets. Make sure you earn and invest early.
Excellent. Second question: what's the number one book you've recommended or gifted the most in the past year?
It's the answer has always been Rich Dad Poor Dad, but I would say Traction is a close number two. But I'm a big believer in things like Stephen Covey's books and the old classics. But Rich Dad Poor Dad still works. I just closed a transaction with a realtor He had never read Rich Dad Poor Dad. I gave it to him as a gift. I said, listen, you help me out on this deal. I want you being transaction focused, I want you to become an investor. So those are the kinds of things that but yes, education and that book is, although, it's, it still holds value.
Yeah, I 100% can agree with you more. Those are all great books. After all your success, helping all the people you've helped, building bettercapital.us, being an investor, actually succeeding, moving out of California, getting to Miami, Florida, right? Which I envy that you're in the tax friendly state there. How do you stay centered in your values, and how do you stay encouraged to charge forward to continue to help more people?
Yeah. Look, at the end of the day, it's all relative, right? We look at, I look at other people that are starting out. I look at other people that are very successful. I'm kind of in the middle of the road. Nothing special. I did have some goals that I set for myself. They were not meant to be, I don't compete with others. I just compete with myself. And my goal was to retire before I turned 50, which I was able to do, and not retire, but be financially independent. So to me, it's about, there's other people that are struggling, and I want to be able to help them avoid a couple of mistakes along the way, or maybe smooth out the zigzag that they have in their lives or in their investment decisions. You and I know your story as well. So you and I went through some zigzags. If I can just help out, smooth out some of those zigzags, those peaks and valleys, I think I've done my job. But again, I think I still have to serve my friends, my real estate community, I call it. I think that goes on forever.
Beautiful, Bobby. Hey, I want to thank you for being on the show. I want to thank you for sharing your insights on helping people to track their real estate portfolios better. I want to thank you for your thoughts on the Deferred Sales Trust, right, and trusting to bring partners or friends or family or clients my way to help them with that. And I want to encourage you to keep using the gift of gratitude and the love for freedom and the love for building something to help other people, which you're certainly doing with bettercapital.us. And so thanks for being on the show. And I also want to thank our listeners for listening to another episode of the Capital Gains Tax Solutions podcast, also streaming on expertcresecrets.com, where we believe most high net worth individuals and those who help them, they struggle with clarifying their capital gains tax deferral options. Not having a clear plan is the enemy, and using a proven tax deferral strategy, such as the Deferred Sales Trust, is the best way for you to exit your highly appreciated business, cryptocurrency, real estate, save a failed 1031 exchange. Also, you can create and preserve more wealth or help your clients do the same. You can learn more about that at capitalgainstaxsolutions.com. That's capitalgainstaxsolutions.com. And for the top 5% of all the industry with business professionals, commercial real estate syndicators, brokers, you can also go to experttaxsecrets.com to learn more about our coaching program. Please rate, review, subscribe, and we'll talk to you again.